Tucker Carlson is back in Moscow, and believe me, this visit is not ordinary. Last time when he was in Russian capital to interview Vladimir Putin in February, he went there as an American journalist. Today he has donned a different hat, that of a peace envoy of Trump, the incoming US president. Carlson on December 4th published a video on X revealing he was in Moscow to interview the world's longest serving foreign minister, Sergey Lavrov.
So we came back to Moscow yesterday to interview the foreign minister of Russia, Sergey Lavrov, the longest serving foreign minister in the world. He's been a part of this government for 25 years. He's been in the diplomatic corps for over 40. And ask him, where exactly are we? Are we headed toward an unprecedented conflict between Russia and the United States?
The reason? To avert a nuclear disaster, a nuclear war between US and Russia. Carlson noted how the two nations were close to a full-blown crisis given Biden's decision to order US military to launch offensive weapons on Russian soil that killed over a dozen Russian soldiers. Carlson said, "Now that US military is killing Russian nationals on Russian soil, we are far closer to a war than any time in history, even than the Cuban Missile Crisis." Now, frankly speaking, from Russia's perspective, this message of Tucker Carlson will definitely resonate. And it is really critical because of the fact that Carlson is a staunch Trump ally and a friend of the incoming US administration. He represents the incoming US cabinet. Carlson is there to convince Moscow that the Trump administration fully understands Russia's concerns, and most of the Americans do not stand with what Biden has been doing in Ukraine. And believe me, conveying this message to the Russians is really important at this moment. You never know when would Putin say, "Okay, enough is enough, it is time to press the nuclear button." We all know at this point of time you can convince only Russians not to escalate the war, because the deep state in the US is leaving no stone unturned to fuel this fire. Peace is a threat to them. And that's why I'm saying Carlson is Trump's peace envoy in action. He is there literally to stop a war between Russia and the US, to avert that massive crisis. During this Moscow visit, Carlson also claimed that Biden was shielding Zelensky and telling him not to give interview to him. Well, Sleepy Joe does not want his friend Zelensky to face some tough questions on behalf of American taxpayers, whose dollars, by the way, are being used to literally fund his war machine. Carlson alleged, "Our efforts to contact Zelensky have been thwarted by the US government. The American embassy in Kyiv, which our tax dollars pay for, told the Zelensky government, 'No, you may not do the interview. You can talk to CNN, you cannot talk to us.'" Earlier in June, Carlson said that he had agreed to conduct interview with Zelensky, but Ukraine president's press secretary later rejected the claim. He even said that Carlson should check his sources in the FSB or Russia's Federal Security Service more carefully. Basically, Kyiv declared Carlson a Russian asset. See the audacity. Carlson is visiting Moscow for the second time since the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war, having landed there in February and interviewed Vladimir Putin. That chat soon became an internet sensation in the US, with the video amassing more than 14 million views on YouTube and over 185 million views on X. You see, when it comes to bridging the communication gap between Americans and the Russians, no one does it better than Carlson. Today, Biden has shut down all communication channels with the Kremlin, which is in fact dangerous for the world. Carlson is making sure the communication hotline remains open and two nations can come closer for peace.